Hi everybody, SF Doug here, September 2017. We have Square coming to present, so hopefully everybody on the phone can hear us. And I'm going to move this a little closer to the presenter. Where are you? Maybe you should be right here. Going to stand on that side or this side?
I'll go wherever you need me.
Yeah, right by the phone.
Presenting first remotely.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so we're just going to start it up here. Square, go ahead and take it away. And there are people online, so.
You guys want to do the introduction first?
He's on it, yeah. Okay. He just has to share his notes. If you want to share the screen. Is it Matt or Ben? Matt is going to. What are you doing instructions? I can show you. Hey Matt, can you hear us?
That I can. Hello.
Hello. Do you want to share your screen?
Yes, let me get that going real quick. 1 second.
So while Matt is getting set up, I can introduce Matt and Ben here. My name's McCoy, I'm from Square. I work on the partnership team. I work closely with Matt and Ryan over at Commerce Guys. We're excited to present to you our Square Connect Drupal module. Matt's going to walk through kind of the exact information, what some features are in there, and then we'll hand it off to Ben, who's from our solutions engineering team, and he'll talk about kind of our wider Square API ecosystem kind of at large. When Matt's done, there's definitely a Q&A. If you guys have questions for Matt over at Commerce Guys, and then same for Ben when he's done with the presentation. Thanks for coming. Thanks.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I guess to kick it off, one thing I wanted to do is I was going to run through installing the Commerce Square Connect module on the Drupal 7 with Commerce 1.x side, and also on the Drupal Commerce 2 side with Drupal 8. Because I know not everybody has had a chance to build a Drupal 8 site, and many people do have Drupal Commerce 1 sites, and this is a great payment gateway that you can use and integrate with. So to start, we do have the project namespace is commerce_square. We have links to the documentation, and of course the good old release pages here. To start, I do have a Drupal VM setup going based on here, so we should all be set. And I'm going to get started. Oh, this is the 2 environment. Okay, here's the 1. So to get started, I'm going to open up the Drupal site. So I already have Commerce and its dependencies downloaded. I'm going to go ahead and go to our release, which is right now the beta 6. And the Square module for 1.x requires the libraries module because we integrate and use the Square SDK for interfacing with their API so that we didn't need to write all of those extra API calls ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and download that and drag it on over to our site. And then the next step is to grab the SDK from GitHub, which we have a link to somewhere. I'll dig it up once I get the site opened. And normally I do use Drush to download modules, but I wasn't sure our audience that's there, so I wanted to go through some of that manual downloading process. Okay, so now that we have the Square module, libraries, and all the Commerce dependencies, let's go ahead and enable some of these things. I'm just going to go ahead and quick enable Commerce in the Commerce UI module. Enabling the UI modules is pretty important for doing initial setup. When you're in production, you could do things like disable the line item UI because you don't need to configure things in production. Same goes for the payment UI. The payment UI module allows you to enable and configure payment gateways. So especially when you're working on adding a payment gateway, you're going to want that enabled. Let's do these. We'll skip tax. And then I'm just going to check the Commerce Square module and save because Drupal will tell me to install all the dependencies. So we'll just give this a quick moment. Way to go, rules. All right. So everything installed. That's one thing is I realized that the Drupal VM is installing PHP 7.1. So there's been a few quirks like that. But Drupal 7 and Drupal Commerce 1 so far has been working fairly well with PHP 7. So if I go to the status report, we're going to see a message right here that the SDK is not installed. And we're going to tell you that it needs to go into Sites All Library Square. So we can go here, go to Releases, the latest release, download that son of a gun, and we're going to bring it into the Libraries folder that's in Sites All in Libraries. One thing that we do have to do is we need to rename this to be just called Square. And we actually parse the composer.json that ships so we can read the versioning and make sure you're on V2 using an expected version of the SDK. So if we actually go back and refresh this page, come on, Firefox. And I will ask for forgiveness. I don't typically use Firefox. So if I am a little bit slow with it, I just didn't want like all my personal information showing up in autocompletes. So now that we have the Square module or the Square SDK added, you can see that status is there. So we want to try to help make sure that you do okay in the install process. So now that we have that going, we can go to the Store tab and Configuration, and now we get to configure Square itself. So one of the neat things about integrating with Square is the fact that you build you create an application on their end and like the Connect dashboard, and you have your Drupal Commerce Store authenticate via an OAuth flow with certain permissions to that application. So most gateways, you're given a set of API credentials, and that gives your integration full-blown access to your account via its APIs. Whereas here, we only ask for permissions to manage, customer profiles, make some transactions, but not manage your catalog yet, or any of these other extra permissions. So it's very fine-grained, and you could revoke it at any time. And that was one of the interesting things when working on this, and I think is a great layer of security compared to some other payment gateway integrations. So to get that information, we give you a link to that dashboard, which then you need to sign in with your merchant account, and hopefully I can remember this off the top of my head. Okay, so I'm being signed in, and I already have an application created. I'm just going to go use this quick for speed. So you're going to kind of go back and forth and copy a lot of this information into your site, the application ID, and then the application secret is actually going to be in your OAuth tab. You click Show Secret, copy it, and then there's a redirect URL, which in Firefox you can't highlight, like in Chrome. So this is the value where once you do the OAuth flow, Square is going to redirect you to this URL. And this is where we grab the access token that allows us to work with the API. So we can go ahead and update that here. And one thing I want to note, you'll see that I have HTTPS running. If you try to save without HTTPS, you're going to get an error. So it's kind of like secure first. The only way you can get around not using HTTPS is if you're working on your local host, which again is something else that caught me by surprise and I really like because it's kind of security first approach. So now that we have that in, we can go grab our sandbox credentials, which we'll be using. So it's not the same as other gateways to here. Typically, you'd have one set of credentials and then just have a toggle of sandbox or production. It's actually two different areas. And I'm going to log out to show that when we save this form, we're going to redirect to Square, have you sign in to do the whole authentication. So I click save, which doesn't seem to want to work inside of overlay. So I've already authenticated this app multiple times, so it's not going to show the accept the permissions process. But typically, if this was the first time you set up your app, it would say, do you want to allow the application name to have access to the certain permission scopes? And once you authorize that, you're brought back to the form. You'll see that it's been connected. You have the production access code, and now we can go set up our payment gateway. So to do that, we go back to store, configuration, payment methods, and now we get to enable the Square Connect payment method. And then once in here, we just need to edit the action. This is what makes the payment gateway actually available. We're going to keep it in sandbox. To do our test, I'm going to change it to authorization only, so that way we have to capture it after checkout. By default, it is authorizing capture. And when you configure your payment gateway, you're able to choose the different store locations that you might have. In this case, most of your store, you might have just one store, or it's in a certain locality, so you wouldn't have different payment gateways. But let's say there's a time where it would make sense to have multiple payment gateways for different store locations. You could then use the rules conditions to say, well, they're in this state, so use this store, all with the single configuration, or the single Square configuration with multiple payment gateways. All right, so I went save that. I'm just going to verify after all these errors. Yeah. All right. So real quick, I'm going to make a product display, or a product that we can go check out with. Shoot. One second, let me create a quick product display so we can actually add this to the cart. Okay, so we can add this to the cart, and now we can go through and do the checkout. Go ahead. That's not right. One second, sorry. Okay, that's goofy. Sorry, it like disabled the payment method for some reason. So one of the things that's nice about Square is it's actually, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it's SAC A compliant, not just SAC AEP. And what that means is it's level of PCI compliance. So each of these inputs is actually an iframe hosted on Square servers. At no point is any information being typed on your hosted server and the clients and the front end code that the client that you control. SAC AEP is where you have inputs on your page that might accidentally be submitted, So there's a chance that you could submit secure data to your server. So this gives you the utmost PCI compliance. And then we need to get specific cards when testing. So I'm going to go to where I know I've documented them. So when you are in sandbox mode, you do have to use a set of specific credit card numbers, not just some ones you might generate. So I'm going to click continue the next step. And now we have created our first order. So I'm going to go into the admin for the order, go to payment, and we have it here. There's a pending one. I'm going to, if you can void it to cancel it, I'm going to click capture. And now we've captured our payment transaction. So just like most payment gateways out there, except it has great PCI compliance built in, and also I really like the security aspect where you have to authorize. So before I go on to the next version, is there any questions about the Drupal Commerce 1.x implementation or any questions on the roadmap?
What was the capture thing for at the end when you do the order and then you have to click capture?
Okay, so what I had set it up to do is payment gateways allow you to do authorize and capture or just authorize. And what I had said, by default, it is an authorize and capture mode. So it's on the payment gateway, and this is your default credit card transaction type. So if it's authorize and capture, once you complete checkout, it authorizes the card and it takes payment. Sometimes you're not allowed to do that, especially if you're shipping products. You shouldn't be taking people's payment until you've fulfilled the order, which that's when you would use authorization only. And in the case for Square, you have 6 days. You have 6 days to capture the authorization. So that's plenty of time to check your stock, to pack the order, and then capture their payment. As anybody that's bought with Amazon, you'll notice that just because you complete an order doesn't mean that you get a payment charge right away. You generally get payment once they said they've shipped your order. So that's where you would use the authorization only aspect.
Got it.
Yeah, and that's one where in the States, I don't think it's really enforced that much, but I know that especially in like some countries, like it's illegal to capture payment before you deliver goods. Like you have to, in good faith, have sent off the goods before you can actually capture the payment.
Wow, okay.
So that's one good thing to know. And usually when people set up sites, I have them go in this mode because that way, when you're in the order, before we captured it, there's a way to void the transaction. Let's say somebody goes through, they're like, actually, I want to cancel my mind. Well, instead of having to refund it and go through that whole process, you're just voiding the authorization like it never happened. And you are able to we can do full refunds and all of that. We don't support the terminal quite yet for adding admin payments. Oh, and one thing coming down the pipeline is card on file support. So if you were to have Commerce Card on File enabled, it would save tokenized versions of payment methods for your customers. So they could log in and reuse their card. When I say tokenized payment methods, what that means is they see that they have a payment card available, and that references an ID inside of the Square system. And when we do a transaction request, we can say, charge it to this payment method ID. And then that's like using a credit card once more. So that's available if you have card on file. In Drupal Commerce 2, that's built into core itself. So you get that out of the box. Any other general questions before I head on to what it looks like setting up for the Drupal Commerce 2?
So right now you voided the transaction or captured it directly from Drupal. I'm guessing you can also do that directly from the Square platform. Would that thing come to Drupal as well?
Actually, that's a good question. I'm going to write that down. There are webhooks and Square. So one thing that,
real quick.
yeah.
So for any transaction initiated through the API, we only allow you to actually do a capture or word on it also through the API. So technically speaking, other API integrations could interface with your payments, or you could do it outside of the standard Drupal interface. But through either webhooks or our other RESTful endpoints, you should be able to detect that and then also make updates. I don't think we're actually doing that currently in the current Drupal version, though.
Yeah, the Drupal version right now isn't listening to webhooks. It is kind of assumed that for your online API transactions, you would be handling those through the Drupal site. And I'm understanding correctly that any transaction made via an API can only be operated via the API, not through your normal dashboard, correct?
Correct today.
Correct today,
However,
okay.
Refunds can actually occur anywhere within the platform.
Okay. Okay, so that is one thing I just made note of, is to make sure we get the webhooks. This is one reason it's still kind of in beta, because we have the payment gateway integration going on, but there's some of these finer points that need to be addressed. For, you know, the more advanced workflow where somebody might actually be handling the transactions inside the main dashboard, if you will.
Just for clarification, where that would come in, webhooks, is if you're running a retail store and a online store at the same time, and you want to be able to capture stuff that's happening at your retail store and have it show up inside your online store administrative interface. That's essentially the use case scenario, or?
Yeah, that would be a use case. Another would be, the most common use case would be you're a single location retailer, you also have an e-com presence, a transaction comes in from e-com, it's actually completed entirely, and then maybe someone comes into your store and returns it. So you can actually return that transaction from them just walking into your store and using our normal point of sale. It's all tied together with the same API.
Okay, that's good to know.
Awesome.
We'll talk a bit about that, the whole commerce experience in the second half of the session today.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and kick over to the next version then, just to kind of show. It's a lot of the same, but I also wanted to show, you know, it's a chance to show off what Drupal Commerce 2 has and how much easier it is to install modules as a whole. Since I can't ask people to raise their hands, because I can't see, at a rough gauge, what percentage of the room has used Drupal 8?
Almost the whole room.
Almost the whole room? Okay, how many have tried Drupal Commerce 2?
One.
One?
Yeah, your 2.0 release is still pretty new.
Yeah, so how many people in the room like using Composer?
Some people, 4 or 5.
Some people? Okay,
Yeah.
well, so when using Drupal Commerce, you have to use Composer. And I hope that this little demo will help sell you on it a little bit more. So a quick backstory. For those who aren't familiar with Composer, it's the de facto package manager for PHP. What's a package manager? If you used Bower, NPM, Yarn, like NuGet for .NET, those are all package managers. They fetch dependencies and resolve all their other sub-dependencies and download them for you. If you don't use Composer, like in Drupal 7, if you use DrushMake, or just manually downloading, you yourself are the package manager, and we're human, and we make mistakes, like I did last night trying to pre-record these, and I could never download the dependencies correctly. So that's one reason that we use Composer, is Drupal Commerce relies on some PHP libraries we wrote that solve e-commerce problems at a larger scale and harnesses the PHP community at large. And the Square SDK. Previously, we had to download it manually, put it into the libraries folder, and manually hook it into Drupal, Whereas with Composer, we can make sure it's up to date. We can specify exact versions to download, and it can automatically be auto-loaded into the Drupal system and just be readily available. So I'm going to quick open this Drupal site, which was built with Drupal VM and the Composer project template. So if I go into my web folder, you'll see that there's just the develop module, which it downloaded. So if I come in here, and the way that you would download the Square module is Composer require Drupal /commerce_square. And it's going to take a second because it's got to do some thinking and resolve the dependencies. And it's probably going to fail because the Drupal VM has PHP 7.1 and I have 7.0 locally. But hopefully it works. And people might notice that, complain that Composer is kind of slow. And it is because it has a really intelligent dependency resolution. It's actually the dependency logic is a straight PHP port of a C library used in Linux. Or I think it's like the apt. Yeah, there you go. I need to go into the VM real quick. So one moment. So as I said about dependency management, the reason why that errored is one of Drupal 8's dependencies has a version that only works on 7.1 or works in 7.0. Since the site was first installed in the Drupal VM with PHP 7.1, it picked that version. And that's, as I said before, Composer is your package manager, otherwise it's yours. It helps solve kind of a lot of those issues. And so I installed just Commerce Square, and here it goes downloading our SDK, some of the Commerce Guys libraries that we wrote, and then the dependencies for Commerce. And we're good to go. We have everything downloaded with one command, which makes life a lot easier.
Sorry,
So,
we dropped for a second.
yeah. What was that?
We dropped you for a second. Our line went out.
Oh, shoot. So to go through just real quick, running Composer required Drupal Commerce Square got me all of our dependencies and the SDK. So if you're still on the fence about Composer, I hope this helps sell it because it makes it a lot easier to add new extensions, themes, modules, third-party code to your Drupal instance. So real quick, I'm going to again install the various Commerce modules and the Square module. Come on. Okay. And again, so we'll go to Commerce, Configuration, and that's right, it's not showing up for some reason. So /square, that's a bug in the queue. And here again, it's pretty much the same sign up page as the Drupal 7. I just recently synchronized the two. So I'll go ahead and start copying these over. Jeez. Oh, and one thing I want to add actually, while I'm saving this, is we have this, check out this settings form covered in functional JavaScript tests in Drupal 8. So we actually have Phantom.js coming in, filling out this form and verifying that it gets sent off to the Square site to log in. And then we have a demo site which I have running in Behat test. So Behat is running Phantom.js. It goes into the different iframes, populates a credit card, and verifies that our gateway is working properly. So that's one of the big efforts I've made with our Drupal Commerce 2 release, is to make sure that a lot of our payment gateways have automated JavaScript testing so that we know we have full end-to-end coverage. Okay, so now that we have the settings form saved, we can go to configuration and the payment gateways. Unlike Drupal Commerce 1, where it just like showed up, now you create a payment gateway and you give it a name, and then you pick the plugin, which we're going to be changing this to the actual thing. So this would be like payment gateway. And again, we pick the locations that we would like. We could restrict it based on the customer's billing address if we wanted to, by their country, a few other things like that. So we'll save for now. And we can go ahead and create a quick sample product. Oh, shoot. So one thing that's new in Drupal Commerce 2 while I go through this is we have the concept of stores. And stores are based on available currencies. And this would allow you to have this allows you to do like a marketplace environment or just multiple online stores. There's actually one site called Orlo Watches, which has a like domain access almost, where based on your store, if it's like dk.orlowatches.com, it knows to use that online store, which limits the products available to that store. So a lot of the features that people have been wanting in Drupal Commerce 1 that involved a lot of contrib or custom code, we've brought in. Okay, save. Okay. Check out, and again, we have the Square form, and I'm going to go into. Also later, this is I'll share this at the end, but we do have a demo site, and that you can test later, and that's also the one that's covered in our automated JavaScript testing. Okay, so I'll paste the card. Again, these are all individual iframes. I'll just quick show the source. So there's an iframe here and an iframe there, and when we submit the form, there's JavaScript that sends these to the Square server. It comes back with a nonce, and we're able to, and that's a 24-hour token. So within 24 hours, we have to use that to capture payment or turn it, or I believe turn it into a payment profile. It might just be to create a transaction. So now we're on the review page. The UX is a little bit more improved. This shows the card type. We'll click Pay and Complete Purchase, and we have our order. So again, a lot of this is pretty much the same as previous, just to show off that we have it for Drupal Commerce 2. We have the order log, so we can go to Payments, and we can go ahead and we click Refund, and now it's refunded. So that's, like I said, a lot of the same feature set, a little bit easier to install on Drupal Commerce 2 just because, or on Drupal 8 just because of Composer and having to download the SDK. So that's the demo of installing both modules. We do have some things coming down the roadmap to provide better integration. So there will be plenty of things coming in the future.
Awesome.
Any other questions real quick?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
REST API? Does it support REST API?
The question was, does Drupal Commerce support REST API?
Yes. It's okay. I have yet to play with it. I started to build a headless product information management system. But one thing to check out is a case study just went up. This running $1 billion business on Drupal Commerce. Now it's it's 5 billion Chinese, or whatever the Chinese currency is, yen, RMB. It's 750 million US dollars. I mean, it's still a lot, but they used Drupal 8. They used a bunch of like Drupal Commerce sites as microservices, and I know that one of these in their stack is headless Drupal Commerce 2, I think, as their product information management. So the user, if I can find him real quick, he's listed in here. So Skyred Wang, he's been very active at making sure commerce works with the core RESTful, like the web services module. I personally have tried it with the JSON API module, and it seems to work fairly well. Part of the quirks comes around our modeling, where a product owns the variations, where an order owns the order items. So variations and order items don't have a canonical route, and Drupal doesn't quite really support that out of the box, like this concept, where, you know, if you fetch an order, it should automatically include all the order items. You wouldn't necessarily fetch that order item individually. So it is working, and I know we've had patches, but I've been deep into some of the other areas. But I know that people are doing it, if that helps.
Cool.
And, oh, I wanted to announce that in 8 days, we will be releasing 2.0. We've been production ready since our first beta. In fact, we launched, the first production site was launched 2 days before we released our first beta. So it's definitely something if you want to get started. The RC is just like a courtesy stage. Like, we could have released a 2.0 a while ago. But yeah, so it's definitely exciting. That's all I have.
Stuff.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Matt. We're gonna hand it over to Ben now.
Cool. Thanks, man. Does it work right here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Pretty loud anyway. So quick show of hands, who here is a front-end or back-end web developer? What about iOS client, Android client? Great, it's all focused on web stuff. I will show you a bit of iOS and Android though, kind of where this fits in. But on that hard part, I actually lead the solutions engineering team at Square. And what we do is we actually work with our most sophisticated merchants, our customers, and our partner platforms on complex API integration, technical feasibility, the art of what's possible in working with Square, and moving beyond just the little dongle. So I'm sure a lot of you are sitting here and you're saying, okay, Square, I know Square. It's that little white plastic device that goes into an iPhone or a mobile device that farmers markets and small businesses use to take payments from me when I tell them I don't have a credit card, right? That's Square. That's what we've been known for. So that's Square of yesteryear. That's Square from 2009. What I want to show you today is that Square has moved well beyond that. We've moved well beyond a little dongle in small businesses, and we're actually now working with businesses of all sizes, including some of the largest enterprises in the world, Fortune 500 companies, as well as farmers markets. And we've got to have a bit for everyone. And as you saw, we have APIs, right? And we can extend our solutions to work in many different areas. So as you just saw, we have Drupal Commerce with Square. We have an official plugin from the Commerce guys. And It allows you to take payments from the Drupal Commerce installation. It's free. You can go ahead and download it, install it as you saw. You can get it right from the page there and Composer as well, depending on your version. And ultimately, why for online payments? Well, it's pretty much all the same benefits that you're seeing from some other payments providers. Moving beyond legacy payment gateways, some of the newer providers offer a lot of the same stuff, right? No commitments or long-term contracts, pretty fair flat rate pricing with no other fees whatsoever, no other commitments, built-in security, fraud, disputes, chargeback protections, really a managed payments layer. What's unique about Square, actually, two major benefits from other providers is next-day business deposits. So for every single Square merchant, assuming it's not a limitation of your bank account, we'll actually make an attempt to give you your money that's transacted today into your bank account by tomorrow morning. And this is true for all of our merchants. And also, it was touched upon, and we'll go into why. Square is the highest level of PCI compliance for any e-commerce or brick-and-mortar technology provider for payments. So as a developer, you can provide the highest level of security for any merchant that's using your solution on their website. And this has to do with our relationships with the banks, with the networks, and the way in which we've actually built our technology stack to work on the website. And we'll go into a little bit deeper there. So let's just go ahead and address the 800-pound gorilla. How are you different from Stripe? How are you different from Braintree? How are you different from every other payments provider? The answer is we are not. And we're going to go home, and that's it. There's absolutely no difference. When it comes to online payments, so Square offers the same set of APIs, RESTful APIs for tokenizing a credit card to charge that credit card and move funds to the bank account of a merchant. We happen to do it in a very secure way, oftentimes more secure than existing solutions, and we do it faster in terms of moving money. But we are no different. We have the same APIs, and we can provide those same solutions. Where we are different, and what we actually consider to be the entire value of our ecosystem, is the fact that we are building an entire commerce platform for online and offline. Online is just a very small piece of the solutions we offer and of our API platform. So we actually talked with one of our merchants, Little Giants. They were a pure e-com provider. They were using one of the open source frameworks for taking payments. They built their entire business online. They came to us and they said, we actually want to move offline. We want to start our own brick and mortar. We want to sell in person. We said, great, well, we're your best solution for that. We are an entire commerce platform. We want to enable developers and merchants to leverage this platform for omni-channel, right? The buzzword for taking payments across all channels, whether it's online, mobile, pop-up, brick and mortar, whatever it may be. We're a single set of unified APIs that allow that. And not only do we allow it, we in those single set of unified APIs, we provide solutions across the full spectrum. So Square, payments is the center of what we do, but it's not all of what we do. Square offers a full point of sale, and we actually specialize in many different industries. This point of sale runs the entire operation for millions of merchants across the world. We build our own first-party hardware that plugs into our software offering for secure payments in card-present scenarios. And we stack on top of this ecosystem other value-added services like invoicing, recurring payments, analytics, dashboards, employee management, right? To run a business, it requires much more than just taking a payment. Payment is the center of commerce, sure, but to actually do it efficiently, you need other bits of your business. You need location management, device management, employee management, reporting, taxation, whatever it may be. Square is the center of all of these for running a business. And we allow your business to grow. We actually have entire teams now built out to providing capital to see and help businesses grow, to providing better mechanisms of talking with your own customers, such as digital receipts, customer engagement tools, etc. And of course, we have apps. We build an entire ecosystem of APIs that make this all possible. So you're probably familiar with Square. All the way on the left here is the little dongle. It started in 2009, right? Plug it into your phone, it allows you to accept payments. But we've moved on beyond that, right? We've actually now created our own first-party hardware for taking EMV, so the little chip cards in credit card, as well as contactless payments, NFC, Apple Pay, Android Pay, Samsung Pay. We have our own first-party hardware for really making and transforming an iPad into a full desktop solution point of sale for brick and mortar businesses. We have a full point of sale. So this is just a view of the interface of our point of sale. Some would say it's the most elegant point of sale that exists. I would agree with them. It works for iOS and Android. So any customer in the world can actually go to iOS or Android, the App Store or the Play Store, download this point of sale for free, load it up with their objects, what they're selling at what prices, and start taking, either if they're not taking payments, they can at least keep track of their business. Of course, we've integrated a full payment solution, including hardware, directly into the point of sale offering. We've gone a step further. We've integrated with third-party peripherals. So our software actually talks with all of the devices you need to run a brick and mortar business. Receipt printers, cash drawers, ticket printers for QSR, so quick service restaurants. So the back of actually where we're preparing food. So heat printers, barcode scanners, right? Everything you would actually need to run a business. So while people still believe that Square is only for food trucks or farmers markets, wherever it may be, we've graduated well beyond that. So this is a photo here from Corridor, which is actually a mixed-use bar / quick service restaurant / full-service restaurant based in San Francisco, right off Market Street. And they leverage about 7 Square point of sales on site to operate their entire business. This is becoming more commonplace. More and more businesses that do hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of dollars through one or more locations of operations are using Square to power their entire business. And now they're starting to either move online, or those who are online are starting to move offline. And instead of bringing together bespoke solutions, they're looking to Square to power their entire ecosystem. And we're doing that at scale. So this is 2016 numbers. Square has over $50 billion in gross processing volume. If you look at that as a single merchant, Square is actually the 10th largest merchant in the United States in terms of processing. We have over 2 million active sellers in any given month. We're growing rapidly, and we're providing our full stack of solutions, including payment processing, in-person and online processing for US, Canada, Japan, Australia, and the United Kingdom. And there's a lot of uniqueness to these markets specific to card-present transactions, which we can discuss later. And now I want to jump into the fun stuff. So developers, APIs, and our view of a platform. And this is going to be where it gets really cool because it's no longer just a dongle. It's a discussion of how we envision the world. So Square started off as a dongle, and I like to joke with pretty much every merchant and platform we talk to that we accidentally, in attempting to build a secure payments device for farmers markets, small businesses, mom and pop shops, otherwise users who know nothing about technology, barely know the difference between a Facebook login and an Apple login, but we gave them the ability to take credit cards within minutes of signing up. We accidentally built the most secure enterprise payments platform in the world. And we did it in a mobile-first, cloud-based architecture. It's kind of unique. It's kind of, if you were building a payment solution today, you'd probably end up building exactly what we built. So we're not about the legacy on-premise solution. And we start with this core of payments. It's a modern, cloud-based mobile architecture with first-party hardware that's fully end-to-end or point-to-point encrypted. So every bit of our hardware has its own security keys built right in. Whether you buy this from Square directly, you buy it from Best Buy, Amazon, Apple Store, no matter where you get it, these things are fully encrypted, and they transmit the credit card information securely from the moment of contact in encrypted state all the way through to the payment processors. So the merchants themselves are never in a state where they could be part of a breach similar to the one you've seen over the years with some of the largest merchants. It just doesn't exist. The level of security we provide to merchants is greater than the level of security that some of the largest enterprise partners and merchants that have ever seen or deployed their own solutions. And finally, we built an entire layer of fraud and risk analysis. So we have our own entire team back at Square dedicated to monitoring a dual-side network, both merchants, the millions that we've onboarded, and the customers, the billions that we've sold to. We have our own machine learning, right? We have our own technology stack dedicated to not only taking in data points from all the network, from Visa, from MasterCard, and from the bank, but building our own heuristics to detect fraud at both levels. It's ultimately our responsibility to fight fraud on behalf of our less tech-savvy merchants. And that's just the core of like our strategy here, right? We manage payments And we do it all by providing first-party hardware, software, and security solutions. Now, if you think of a transaction, and e-commerce is what most people are familiar with. You think of a transaction, it's really just an agreement between a buyer and a seller to exchange goods, right? I'm going to provide you money, I'm going to do it through a credit card, and then you're going to provide me goods or services. But if you break down a transaction, what it really is it's an agreement between two parties, and there's any number of metadata attributes about that transaction. Sure, there might be a credit card, there might be what you purchased, items, prices, but there's actually more than that. It's who is my company? Who are my employees? Maybe an employee made this transaction. What location? What device was it on? Did I do discounts, taxes, orders, tender types? There's any number of things that every business wants to know about every single transaction flowing through their system. And at Square, we build these primitives and these first order objects right into the payment. So a payment is not simply an API request of, I want to move money between credit card A to merchant B. It's any number of attributes related to the movement of that money across. And the way we see it is we want to go ahead and build APIs across this layer. So the foundation of payments related to all the attributes of what you would do in a commerce solution, and then we want to expose it through APIs. And with those APIs, we're going to build some really powerful first-party solutions. And this is what we know today. We have Square Point of Sale. It's that point of sale I just showed you. We have a Square for Retail, a retail-specific point of sale solution for iOS. We have a bunch of loyalty and invoices and marketing services, all built by Square, first-party closed systems that we provide our merchants that they can sign up and get ready, use immediately. All of these use our APIs, which are really just exposing our understanding of our commerce primitives. But we're not going to be able to build every single solution for every single merchant, and we have no interest in doing so. What we want to do is we want to expose the same APIs that we expose ourselves to third parties, to developers, like this room. And we want developers to go in and build niche solutions using our same technology stack of payments across online and offline, unified through all these attributes. And we want you to build stadium ordering apps. We want you to build kiosks for quick service restaurants. We want you to build the next kiosk for McDonald's. We want you to build the next ordering solution for Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. We want you to build a custom data integration between Drupal and a billion-dollar Drupal merchant, and some other backend systems they're doing for data analytics and BI tools. And we want to enable that by providing you APIs that tap directly into the payment and tap directly into all of the other pieces that these businesses are running, both in online and offline world. And now I'm going to jump into the few APIs that we have that will enable you to do this. So we discussed already today our e-commerce API. This is what it sounds like. It's the same API that all other providers have. The ability to add custom forms into an e-commerce site, take payments through the API, move money to the merchant. Ours is a little bit unique, and I'll actually walk you through how it works. The second is point of sale API. So what if we could actually create custom mobile apps or apps that are running on tablet devices that talk to a Square reader? So the reader that I'm pulling up here is a Square EMV and contactless reader. So this takes Apple Pay, NFC, any kind of NFC payment. They'll take a chip card, and it's Bluetooth connected to our software, Square Point of Sale. But we will give you an API that obfuscates all the complexity, all the security, all the PCI scope, and allows you to take physical card payments in your own software. And I'll actually show you how you can do it with Drupal as well. And we have other APIs, right? I mentioned payments is just one piece of the entire solution for merchants. We have APIs for customer management, for creating customer records and syncing them between channels. You might want to create a customer when someone signs up for Drupal. They actually might go through a checkout on Drupal Commerce. When that customer checks out on Drupal Commerce, you want them to show up in the point of sale at the brick and mortar location. We have APIs that allow you to sync that data. Employee management, right? Employees run the business. You might want to use our software or third-party software to manage and track their employees and show how many sales employees have created. We can do that through APIs as well. Of course, items and inventory, syncing inventory between locations, setting item prices in real time. Maybe you want to have a centralized solution that allows you to set real-time dynamic pricing based on time of day or action. You can do that between your Drupal Commerce instance and the physical Square Point of Sale that are on site. And of course, sales and reporting. None of this doesn't help any business at all unless they have full insights into what happened, when it happened, and all the attributes. So jumping right into the two types of APIs that we offer for taking payments, the e-commerce as well as our point of sale. The e-commerce API, this is the one that we use for the Drupal integration with the Commerce Guide. A normal API integration for payments, you have any number of fields. You have name, postal code, the actual card, expiration, CVV. In Square, we actually only care about 4 fields. That's it. We only care about the card number, the zip code, if it's available for that card type, the expiration date, and CVV. That's it. That's all we care about. However, we will not let you do things that we don't want you to do. So Square is unique in that we put security first. We go through security reviews before we even go through product reviews. We design it with security in mind because much like our hardware and our software being used by small merchants, we assume the worst possible case scenario and we design for it. So what we don't allow you to do is you can't put your own elements on the page. You cannot put your own elements on the page, and you cannot immediately send it off through a RESTful request on the client side. It's not even on your server, it's on the client device. Through your JavaScript, send it off to a RESTful endpoint, get back a token, and then use that token to take a payment. We do not let you do that. In fact, your own website, your own code cannot get the credit card details off the page through JavaScript or any other means. As we mentioned, every one of these fields are actually iframes. You drop in Square JavaScript onto the page, you provide a template of divs that you provide the IDs for, and when we load that JavaScript, we're going to dynamically replace those div elements on your page with Square iframes, and we're going to let you style them how you see fit. So you can actually have an iframe embed entirely into the look and feel of your own e-commerce page. And then we're going to do a bunch of magic here through JavaScript that essentially give you callback functions and separate methods that let you request information from our servers. And the only information you can really request is there anything wrong with this credit card number? Should I display some errors? Or I would like a token now. When you go ahead and embed those forms into your page and you say, I would like a token, what Square is going to do is on our servers, we're going to receive the secure information. We're going to tokenize that, and we'll send you JavaScript back with a one-time use token. You then can take that token, submit a standard RESTful API request right on your form submit to say, I want to do a charge, in this case, $89.99 in British pounds. You're going to include that nonce. You're going to send it back to us. And then we're going to approve or deny it for the actual transaction processing. In this setup here, the backend host is nearly identical to every other provider. You're providing some sort of token or identifier for the charge. The difference is that token itself never even went on the client-side device. It was never accessible by your own code. It was all done through JavaScript with our solutions there. Some of the same functionality, the same APIs, right? It's authorization and delay capture, the ability to do card on file. We can actually save these tokens for future use on a customer record, and we can do recurring billing against them, right? We can add additional information to the checkout. We can create customer records and assign them to these transactions. And then, of course, card on file, as I mentioned, the ability to save a card for future use. Now, what gets really interesting is we're not just payments APIs. We're not just e-commerce APIs. When you create a customer record, when you create a card on file through your e-commerce checkout, that card on file is available in the entire Square ecosystem. So you can start building experiences that no other e-commerce API provider can do, such as you have a Drupal commerce site. You also happen to have multiple locations of brick and mortar. You run e-commerce through Drupal. A customer comes in, your very first time they interact with your brand is they buy an object from you, and they save their card on file for future purchases. You then ship them the product. They love your product so much, they come to one of your brick and mortar locations, and you actually want to provide a really close one-on-one personal selling experience. Maybe it's a high service, like high value services solution. That customer can actually make another transaction from you at the brick and mortar through the point of sale to their same customer record that was created through Drupal Commerce with their same card on file that was created from the website, with 0 lines of code on your behalf. Because you save the card on file to the customer record, which is automatically going to flow through the rest of the Square ecosystem. Everywhere card on file is available in Square, you have just made it available to that merchant to use with their customer. And this is one of many different benefits of a true omni-channel solution. That's just taking a payment. What if you want to do attribution, lifetime value of customers, online and offline, marketing between online and offline customers, right? There's any number of real benefits here of a true full platform for payments. Another way in which we allow payments through e-com is through a product called Square Checkout. Square Checkout is essentially a Square-hosted form that does the same things as the Square e-commerce API. So you can imagine this is actually just a Square-hosted version that already integrated the e-commerce API. What means is you don't have to build your own interface for the payment collection here, for the order details, etc. And you don't need a secure site, SSL. We can actually do all that for you. What you need to be able to do is just post information to us that says, I want someone to be able to check out, and these are the details, and that's it. We'll give you back a URL. The customer can go to that page and complete an entirely Square-hosted checkout. This is really just, it's pre-built UI. Some merchants actually prefer it. They don't want any checkout on their website at all. They want it to occur off-site, on Square, somewhere else. So it's just one of the options that we provide. Point of sale API. So the point of sale API allows you to build your own mobile apps that will accept physical card payments. So if you're actually looking at the little visual here, this is a third-party app. It builds its own card. When it goes to checkout, we actually do interstitial. Square's SDK take over. It's actually performing an app switch here on the mobile device. We complete the whole checkout flow. We'll obfuscate all the complexity of the actual checkout flow. We'll talk to the hardware, and we'll just give you a success or failure as a callback to your calling application. Very similar to old school PayPal. Think of PayPal from the 90s and 2000s, right? They're off the website, they complete some action, and then you get a token back that says success or failure. It's kind of what that is, but in the physical world. Here's an example again of a custom point of sale that's a kiosk for the boba guys, where an entirely third-party UI, this is a native iOS application, and it's using the Square application, a point of sale API switch to take the payment piece, remove that complexity, own the security, own the compliance piece, and when it's all done, it's going to switch back to their app and they're ready to go. This is just an example of a custom interface we built around our point of sale API. And now there are point of sale API specifically, there are two methods that it can work, and I think one you're going to hear more about, so I'm probably going to skip over quickly, but we have an SDK. We have an SDK for iOS and Android that allows you to actually build native applications for iOS and Android in a few lines of code. So, example, native iOS. In this, using our SDK and this many lines of code, we can cheat and say it's 2 lines of code. All you do is you send in the parameters of what you want to happen in this transaction, and you initiate it. At this point, your application will automatically switch over to Square. We will complete the payment, and upon the response, we'll then let you know what actually happened. Same thing for Android. This is just using intent. So Android and Google, they use intent to communicate between the two. But I'm actually more interested in showing you this one. So we have built our solution that allows web apps, pure web code, like Drupal or Drupal Commerce or any website, to actually exist in the browser and initiate a card-present transaction to Square's hardware for a card-present transaction. And it's as simple as, this is iOS specific, creating a JSON payload and submitting an href request, encoded request to that URL. You need to have Square's point of sale application installed on the device, and iOS knows when you communicate as such on the iOS device from a web browser, Chrome, Safari, custom browser, it'll initiate a full transaction for you. You can do the same for our Android as well. So if you're building a solution for web, right, it could be any users, iOS or Android users, Android uses intent. So it's very similar. iOS uses URL schemes. Android uses intent. It's basically, again, just encoding values into a URL. But as you can see, this is just an href. If you were to click this link on an Android device, you would initiate a transaction for $1 on Square's point of sale using Square's hardware. I'm actually going to show you a demo of this live shortly. And there's some really interesting use cases here. You're taking advantage of our hardware, right? The security of our enterprise-grade hardware for card-present transactions. You're getting card-present rates. Put it in perspective, standard rates for e-com is 2.9 plus 30. That's pretty much standard anywhere. People negotiate that. The standard rates for card-present, at a minimum, 2.75, right? So you've already dropped 20 basis points and 30 cents off your actual cost of processing. But even with custom rates, you know, we have, not we, but the industry sees merchants doing 1 point something, 2 point something, right? So it is much cheaper to transact in person than it is through card not present APIs with any provider. Square allows you to do that with our secure hardware. We accept every type of credit card payment, and all of the transactions that you create through the APIs sync through our entire ecosystem, as I mentioned. As a developer, you want support. So let me just walk you through a few options here. Our recommended is Stack Overflow. So the Square Connect tag on Stack Overflow, if you search for it, you'll see there's an active community there. Everyone kind of just goes ahead and asks questions, like very pointy questions. I'm trying to do X, Y, Z. How could I do it? And we have a team of developer evangelists and support that are monitoring that real time. So we usually have like about a couple hours turnaround, worse a day turnaround. Slack. So we actually have an invite-only Slack, but if you're here, you're invited. If you go to this address, so squ.re/Slack, it'll be a Google form. They'll basically say, who are you? If you fill it out, you'll get an invite to our Slack channel, which will have real-time access to our, again, developer evangelist team, to help with any questions on what you might be building. And we have a seller community. So if you go to sellercommunity.com, it's actually a Square-powered community, open forum for all merchants of all sizes. It has nothing to do specifically with Square. It's about merchants who want to learn about other industries. They want to learn how to build a business. They want to learn, now that they've scaled, how do they better scale their operations. We have an entire section on here for developers. Obviously, it's focused on Square in this case, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And our site looks like that in case you stumble upon it. So I actually wanted to switch real quick and just show you, because I think I love to see things happen. We've already seen what it looks like to take an e-commerce payment through a web form, which is pretty much what every API in the world can do these days. But not every API in the world can do what I want to show you. And that's this. So I wrote this code today. This is the entire app. There is no other code at all. So I'll walk you through this. It's hello world, great. I put a single text field, which just accepts input. I didn't validate it, so don't hack me or anything. I'm going to load in jQuery because I'm lazy and I didn't want to use any actual pure JavaScript. I have my app ID from Square. I created an app in the dashboard, which we saw Matt load earlier. I registered a callback URL, so I'm just going to host this on a static page temporarily right now. And I just added a click event. My click event is simply, if you click my button that says take a payment, I'm going to build a JSON object that is the value that I put in that field. I'm going to set the currency to US dollars. And then I'm going to say, I want to take a credit card payment, and I'm going to send it to the application. Any questions on this code? I'm just going to switch the screen so you can actually see the device. So what you're seeing here is the Square point of sale interface. So it is literally just an application sitting on an iOS device. This is the interface that all merchants use, right? I can actually just have some items, I can build a cart, I can do any number of things, right? But in order to take a payment from a web app, we needed a secure enclave essentially. So we can use our app as the solution for communicating to our hardware. So I'm just going to minimize. I'm actually going to load up my web page. So you can see, here's my web page. This was the code I just showed you. It's a simple hello world with a form field and 2 links. In this case, I'm on an iOS device, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and put, this is in cents, so I'm going to put 167 cents, so $1.67, and I'm just going to press take a payment on iOS. And what this is going to do is it's going to, from my web browser, switch it to Square, and now I have a payment for $1.67 that's loaded up. If you actually look at my device right here, it just went on because it's Bluetooth connected, it detected that payment going on, and now I'm a merchant, so I want to take a payment. So I can actually have my customer come up to decide how they want to pay. In this case, I want to pay with Apple Pay. So he just goes up to the device, pays with Apple Pay, authorizing, completing. Oh, I enabled tipping, so I can tip myself if I want. I'm not going to do a tip. Approved, and we're all done here. Transaction's complete. We're going back into the website. Oh, we got our response from the application to the website. In this case, we have an OK. You think it'd be like success, but OK. Client transaction ID, a transaction ID, as well as an offline payment ID. So these are all the IDs you would use within the Square API, where you can validate this payment. You can get additional details, such as the last 4 digits of the credit card I used, maybe it was a Visa. You can learn that I used Apple Pay. And you can see all the metadata we've collected with this transaction. I can imagine you might make some sort of, checkout flow that uses this. Now, what's really interesting, and we see it a lot, is very large merchants, very large retailers, think like mall retailers, who have e-commerce sites. They use Drupal Commerce for their e-commerce site, or hybrids from SAP, or IBM WebSphere, or Magento, or any number of e-commerce providers, but Drupal Commerce, or any Drupal solution. They're using it to power their very large e-commerce sites, and they said, we want to offer the ability for someone to build a cart, and we want them to, from in person, in our store, pay with physical cards. We don't want to pay, we don't want to sit there and type in manually a credit card. It's crazy. We also don't want to pay card not present rates. So you can actually build card present solutions into Drupal Commerce for the merchant to use themselves, right? As another payment option. You can allow this type of checkout directly into Drupal, if you so designed it as such. But there's nothing limiting at all, right? We're just in the web browser, and we're just, right? And now I want to go ahead and try again. Let's say we do it again. Oh, there's some sort of error. I actually didn't provide a dollar value, right? So it errored out. It said, sorry, your amount isn't invalid. Okay, well, so let me try to put an amount in. Let's put $5.55. So we're going to try that payment again. Great. But let's say we don't want to take payment, so we're going to cancel the payment. Right? So bring it back to our web app again. Oh, sorry, payment was canceled. Right? So we just get the alerts, and we can build a checkout experience based on what the customer is actually doing when they go through the checkout flow of the card present transaction.
I guess I'm confused. Does that Square app have to live on your device for it to flip back and forth?
Yeah. So for this,
like a desktop.
Yeah, so Square solutions today only work for iOS and Android devices. We do not have SDKs or physical hardware payment solutions to do physical hardware for anything other than iOS or Android. We have certain developers being creative. I was on a call today where they just built a lightweight wrapper application on an iOS or Android that talked to their desktop app, right? Like a lightweight daemon or wrapper that was basically a listener to their desktop, whether it's on a local network or it's hardwired in. It's actually a Linux box. And they initiated a transaction on desktop. The wrapper just kicked off the transaction on their mobile device that was sitting next to it. Not ideal, but I can tell you we officially launched these solutions. We've been working with a lot of partners for about 2 years now. We officially launched it in March of 2016. So it's only about a year and a half old, all of what you're seeing today. We have since grown that team 10x in that same time period. And we have ambitions to really build out these APIs and mature them over the next 5 years. And we have aspirations for enabling every single platform, every single secure platform, to be able to connect to and take payments with our technology stack, and to be able to plug into any kind of experience that you can imagine building as developers. I want to go back to so you can see, just looking at the code again, super lightweight. All we did was build a JSON payload and do a window relocation, and the iOS and Android devices, through intent or URL schemes, knows exactly what to do, and we'll initiate the callbacks to and from the application. I know there's a lot of information. Let's go ahead and open it up to questions pretty much about anything. So again, I work on and with our API platform, our developer team, as well as all of our external partnerships and merchants. So I've seen it all with Square. I've been there for nearly 4 years now. I've worked with pretty much everyone, and I've seen all of these solutions evolve over time. So whether there's questions related to that, the APIs, or even credit card processing, I'm sure I could help you with. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the presentation. Good information. I was wondering if this sort of platform had it work for different cryptocurrencies. I thought you had a currency code if you could do a Bitcoin or Ethereum transaction.
We do not. Yeah. So Square has dabbled with cryptocurrencies in the past. We have a first-party online store solution, so you can, with one click, set up an online store, like Shopify or something. In that solution, we offered, I'm not sure if we still offer, Bitcoin as as a payment solution. We dabbled with it. We didn't see any use at all. However, the short answer is no, we do not accept through any kind of API solution anything other than credit cards and all the different credit cards and whatnot for the NFC payments. That said, our philosophy is Square as a payments platform is going to openly accept every form of tender that consumers and merchants want to use to enable commerce between the two, and every popular form. If and when cryptocurrency becomes a popular form of commerce, it is very much aligned with our strategy to enable that. We are not a tender. Square is not a tender. People think they seem to confuse and often think you're competing with Apple, you're competing with Google on these payment options, you're competing with PayPal payment options. Like we're not actually. We're not competing with Visa. We actually have a great relationship with Visa. We are simply enabling all of these tender options to be used with merchants. We are a merchant solutions provider, and that's, we want to enable that stuff.
What type of back office stuff do you guys offer with your merchant solutions? Is there anything like an inventory control system or control system, places where a merchant can go and basically run their whole business off a dashboard type of solution?
Yeah, let's actually I'm going to go ahead and log into exactly that. So I'm going to go into my account. We just took these payments in. So we offer every Square merchant, the millions that we have, a full back office suite we call Square Dashboard. We're logged into it here. I haven't linked anything. This is the command center, if you will, to managing all of your locations, your devices, your employees, your inventory, everything, as well as payments, right? Payments is just a piece of operating business. You can see that we just took some transactions here. We can see who our customers are. It all is based on, setting up your locations of your business, right? I have a bunch of test accounts here. From that, you set up your devices, you set up your receipts, you set up your tax, right? Everything you're doing to actually operate your business. From that, you have, right, the core is your sales. We provide every type of sales dashboard tool you could possibly want to slice and dice your data across every single channel. So whether it's payments that are occurring, over whatever time period, the time of day, across your locations, as well as advanced slicing around the source. So we can actually view transactions by location, by employee, by device, or by source, such as through the e-commerce site, through location 1, through location 2, online, offline. You have all your transactions, so you can actually take a look at that transaction. I charge myself $55. Okay. So you can actually take a look at that transaction. $5. There you go. There you go. It was, $1.67. This is the one we took. You can actually see the receipt. This was the receipt generated, and tells you exactly where we are. Right? This is the full command center of everything about this business that we're looking at here.
So, just to sort of extend on that question, when a merchant signs up for this, they just get this, for the merchant fees that they're paying on the credit card transactions, or is there like a membership or sign up or something like that? So they become very dependent on this.
Yeah, so if you create a Square account online, you get approved for processing, you can start taking payments on online or offline and almost immediately. You get everything you're looking at is entirely free. It comes for free, included with merchant processing. And now I will show you on the side, there's additional value in it, right? So there's any number of things related to advanced inventory management. You can do, we have an appointments product, right? We have capital loans. We have a virtual terminal here. We have loyalty type solutions, right? So we can actually create a loyalty program as companies or merchants, customers coming in and out. We have a full marketing suite that allows you to create campaigns similar to a MailChimp or Constant Contact. These are value-added services that are not required in any way to use, but become optional. Time cards, payroll solutions, and as well as entire app marketplace of third-party apps. So all of these developers here have integrated with our APIs, the same ones I explained to you today, providing value-added services for either free or additional revenue or additional costs to enable merchants to tap into whatever they might do here. The most common, right, solutions around taxation. taxation, so Intuit QuickBooks, Xero, accounting software, or e-commerce providers such as Weebly, Wix, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, Magento, Ecwid, right? I believe Drupal should be on here, right there, Drupal Commerce. So it's just a matter of, going through these pages. So yeah, every Square merchant has this full set of tools, and then a full CRM too, right? So the ability to actually look at your customers, get feedback, get insights, et cetera. And all of these, right, our idea is to build a full ecosystem of APIs that allow you to manage every single one of these programmatically. We already have APIs today for customers, employees, items, transactions, and we are, as we're maturing our products around appointments, capital, invoices, loyalty, marketing, we're also going to expose those as services that you can build upon, either to value add or deeply integrate with your own solution that you're building, so that a merchant who's already deeply integrated in our ecosystem can also leverage that data within yours.
Is that back office system available via API access as well? Or, because the part where I see confusion is customers. So your customers live in the Square application, but they would also live in the Drupal Commerce application. Right. So then you sort of have like this sort of weird syncing issue, you refund the guy on Square, you refund,
Yeah.
Users generate interesting questions when it comes to commerce, so.
Yeah, so customers record is fully available through APIs.
Nice.
So you can actually you can have a system of record that is, could be Square, and then you can leverage it off of that. We're only getting better. So we're getting a lot of feedback from our development community around custom attribution, custom data fields, unique metadata around every entity in our system so that you can do better syncing. We've actually built a version 2 of our API that has specifically addressed issues related to catalog syncing. So I actually want to go through, so what's unique is, unfortunately I've been at Square long enough, 3+ years, I've seen everything. I've worked with our first APIs, our terrible APIs, our better APIs, and things we have now. And not only have I done that, I've done it with our largest merchants. So I can't tell you maybe who they are, but I can tell you what we've done with them. So for example, this is an example of a architecture diagram of the type of deployment we actually do with large retailers. So think of a retailer that you go into a mall, and all those retailers are there, right? As big as Macy's or Sears or Nordstrom, and as small as like Lids, right? Little hat shop. At the end of the day, what they're trying to do is they have systems of record for catalog, inventory, maybe accounting and resource systems, right? Loss prevention, loyalty, CRM, any number of systems, and they've bought them over a 30-year period. They've kind of cobbled them together in some way. They don't really talk to each other. They have an online version of it. They have an offline version of it. Drupal commerce and e-commerce platforms sit kind of somewhere over here on the side. It's kind of a questionable situation. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to be able to, we want to take mobile payments. We want to take a mobile point of sale. We want to be able to use your secure hardware in a very client-friendly way. And we want to put it in our store. How can you get that to work? The answer is through the API. So we actually work with them to deploy Square on iPads, right, in the cloud, at their location. There's no on-premise connections of any kind. And we build data integrations between their back-end systems and Square. So for example, product catalog. A merchant of Nordstrom size, they have millions of catalog, millions of SKUs, something you're familiar with e-com. But with Square, we actually didn't start e-com. We started with small businesses, right? Small businesses have like 30 items. Nordstrom's has 30 million items. Different. Version 1 of our API has no bulk endpoints. Every update was one-to-one. Imagine making price changes across your entire catalog of 30 million items. It took, how long did it take? I wrote the code that did it. It took 38 hours to do a price change today. So if you made price changes today, it would take 38 hours for them to go in, and a day and a half later, right? We realized our mistakes. We've gone in and created new versions of our API. Our new catalog and our new API with batch functionality can do the exact same operation in 18 minutes, which is actually very good. 30 million price changes in 18 minutes. Sync down remotely from the cloud to mobile devices across hundreds of locations. It's pretty awesome, actually, because their own systems can't do that, right? Inventory, we're actually working on an entire new inventory API that does full integration with PO, so purchase order management, item stock counts on brick and mortar locations. So you can actually sell something from Drupal commerce and decrement stock so that you don't sell it accidentally at your brick and mortar. But we can do it at scale, again, hundreds of thousands and millions of items in real time. And then transaction information, right? We want to get transaction information out of Square. If you make a sale through, I guess, Drupal or a brick and mortar, you want to visualize all this in one place. So you want to use your transaction APIs to generate, this data and get it off to the business intelligence systems, to get it off to the accounting systems, automate everything. And following this design pattern, pretty basic, right? With the APIs we have, we're able to integrate with merchants that have hundreds and thousands of locations. My favorite is a merchant we just launched this year, 5,000 locations, 6,000 point of sale devices, and they make price updates to 2,500 items every 15 minutes. And we have systems that take it down and takes 10 seconds, right? 10 seconds, they make a price update, all 6,000 devices are updated in real time. And they have a website. Guess what? They can make price changes there, automatically goes down to all their devices. It's an entire new world.
Why are they doing that?
Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. Pretty much every retailer that you go to does dynamic pricing these days. Maybe they can get their competitive advantage, even though they all do it. A lot of retailers are constantly doing discounting, right? Sale events. And the way they do it is it's antiquated, but they have a command center somewhere with someone going, yes, I approve. They're putting all their prices and they're changing it. And normally they would make once-a-day changes because their systems took 24 hours to get the data down, get it to an on-site server. The on-site server then had to be manually executed, had to sync to their point of sale. Maybe it's just that we're enabling them to do it. They need to try it out and get it out of their system. But the entire process is now real time, right? We want to make 30,000 price changes. Okay, there you go. They're done 1 minute later. But that's what our APIs can allow you to do. Just operate at scale across thousands and thousands of locations. Something that some of the largest enterprises are only realizing that's possible today. And notice how this conversation here, yeah, we have payment APIs, guys. We can do e-commerce, but it's much more than e-commerce, right? What happens when you can connect e-commerce to brick and mortar in a single unified API and connect it to all the other things that run a business? Catalog, inventory, items, customers, right? And that's the kind of vision we're trying to enable. We're just starting. That's the kind of vision we want to enable with developers like you guys. Yeah.
So I'm a small merchant. I've been using PayPal for 2 decades now.
Yep.
Why should I switch over, or should I keep both?
You're a small merchant. Yeah. I mean, there's any number of questions. I can send you our sales team that can help you out. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to ask you what's your pain point, right? And
Online and
great. So you have online and brick and mortar, and I would ask you questions really. So our Square's value prop. How about this? Here's a question. People ask me all the time, how much of a competitor is Stripe, PayPal, Braintree? And I say, we can, yeah, I guess we overlap. But we don't consider them a competitor because that's not our market. We're not going after somebody who just does online. Like that's not, we can help you. We can actually help you if you see benefit in all the things we do. Absolutely. We have great tools. We have customer support. You can literally dial a phone number and you'll get a customer support person. Some of these providers don't have that. So it's just, we provide that level of customer service. So if that works, great. What I'm going to ask you is, what do you do offline? Do you go to pop-ups? Do you have a brick and mortar store? Do you do this? Do you do that, right? And if you do, and you have a brick and mortar, I'm going to base this entire conversation around that. What pain points do you have there? I'm going to ask you, who do you use to accept payments? You probably have a merchant bank somewhere. You probably have to, through some sort of agreement and firstborn and something you're doing there with like contractual agreements and whatever, you have some hardware you probably hate. It probably works sometimes. And that hardware has to talk to the bank, and that hardware also has to talk to your software. And your software is by some other company, which runs on a Windows or Mac by some other company, which by the way has to then talk to the merchant network as well. So there's just a lot of pieces. I'm gonna say, like, in there, where is the frustration you have? Because we can replace all of that with a single device, and a device that never breaks, you can go to the Apple Store and just get another one.
And how much is that swipe device? Typically.
So the traditional device you are probably renting from your bank or from wherever Traditionally, a chip card, contactless, magstripe payment solution, secure, runs $350 to $750 per terminal. That's just the hardware. That's not even the software that makes it talk and whatever. So you're looking at, potentially $1,000. This costs $49. And it's the exact same one if you went to the Apple Store and bought it. So you can break this, walk over to another one, plug it back in, and you're fully secure and you're ready to go again.
So you guys sell them off your site?
Yeah, it's on squareup.com. We sell them at every major big box retailer, Staples, Best Buy, Amazon, et cetera. So it's for a merchant who, let's imagine you're a bar, right? Imagine maybe it's like a 4-location taqueria. You might actually have 2 to 3 terminals per point of sale per location, right? So you're talking 8 to 12 point of sale terminals. Your cost of operating in a world where you're paying $300 to $700 just for the hardware piece, among other pieces of your technology stack, you're really looking at around $10,000 to $20,000 per terminal. With Square all in, including an iPad, you're looking at around $1,100 per. So the upfront fixed costs are usually a tenth of what they are with the traditional provider, and then your ongoing costs are usually minimal, if nothing, compared to an ongoing provider. And then you get all these benefits of the developer API platform, right, and everything that comes with that.
So you're saying dump PayPal and go squarely with Square?
I'm saying you should do what's best for your business.
That's what it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
But they're incompatible, you can't have both.
So PayPal does 2 things. PayPal offers credit card processing, and they also offer the ability to take PayPal as a form of tender. Now, I would actually argue that PayPal as a form of tender is a popular form of tender, and I can envision a world with our philosophy that maybe we would enable that. Today we don't. We don't allow PayPal as a form of tender in our ecosystem, but we do the credit card piece. If you want to accept PayPal at your location, there's no rule against it. You're more than welcome to do it. We encourage it. We just won't help facilitate it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm saying that Square, you probably don't like the old terminology, but basically has updated the point of sale terminal and integrated kind of ERP for small and medium businesses.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm saying with your dashboard.
I think that's, a very good summary of what we have done.
Okay.
Yeah. We're creating a full commerce platform, which is a nice way of just saying ERP system. ERP is just a short acronym for Enterprise Resource Planning System. Think of these Oracle, Microsoft, SAP, NetSuite, right? These are large enterprise companies that focus on building really sophisticated softwares for managing the day-to-day processes and movement of, fulfillment, funds, accounting of large businesses. We've done the same for smaller businesses, with the payments being the facilitator of all this, which is actually very backwards. There are a few companies in the world that do what we do on the payment side, and then also layer on all this additional value add, including
Right. Well, I've always associated you basically as a point of sale stuff. And seeing that you have this whole other ecosystem that basically allows small businesses to integrate without having to do it to make their.
Yeah. I would say our bread and butter merchant right now is like a 3 to 5 location business that has 15 employees, 15 to 25 employees, right? And this business has to pay to get hardware set up, to actually take payments. They have to train their employees. They have to manage their employees. They have to give their employees the ability to log into a point of sale and segment payments only by them. They have to pay these employees, right? Track all their transactions, collect tips, pay them out, and do payroll, right? So small businesses, but a 3 to 5 location business is anywhere from $1 million to $10 million in annual revenue. So pretty sizable. These are not farmers markets, right? They're not micro merchants. They're just your average local community merchant, probably a little bit larger than that, actually. Yeah.
So, assuming your APIs are all fleshed out, can I essentially rebuild all of that back office, all of the functionality that exists on Square? I could rebuild that in Drupal, for instance.
Yes. So if all of our APIs existed, you absolutely could.
Do they?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to build. So if you said, I wanted to build the full suite of digital visualization for like dashboarding. So like all the reporting tools, everything about my transaction, slice and dice, visual UI, beautiful reporting tools. You can absolutely do it.
Payroll?
You cannot, no, but there's a world where you could. And the reason why payroll is really sophisticated, right? You need all your reporting from transactions by employee, which by the way, we provide you through the API. But then you need the ability to pay out your employees, which is actually not a standard credit card transaction. That's actually a money transfer. We do not expose any money transfer APIs today. But again, if you're a full commerce platform, you have ambitions to release all APIs, relate to all movements of money in all directions. So it's definitely something we're very interested in doing. That question comes up though. Couldn't I just rebuild everything you built as a third-party solution? Yes, and I would love it if you did. And I would put it in our app marketplace, and I would give options to businesses. Because at the end of the day, if they're leveraging our payments ecosystem to power all of that, then we're enabling it, right? That's kind of how we monetize many of our solutions. So if they love using your interface and you build something very niche to a specific market, we're all for it and we'll help you build it as well. For example, we have wine point of sales. Point of sales specific to the wine industry. iOS only, they only go after wineries that have 10+ locations, and their entire interface is around clienteling, so knowing your customer, knowing what they want, how they want it, when they want it, and buying subscription plans to wine packages. We don't build wine package point of sales. We have no ambitions in the next, call it 10 years, to build a wine-specific point of sale. I don't think so. We want entrepreneurs and developers to go and build that, and we want to power everything behind the back end. Absolutely. Because you know what's really interesting about wineries? They also have food and beverage solutions in the back. Think of a ski resort, right? Wineries is kind of like a ski resort. Ski resort has every single form of business that you would run. It has a full-service sit-down restaurant. It has a quick-service restaurant, almost like a fast food place. It has a retail store. It has a hospitality group for checking into a hotel. It has a services-based arm for doing lessons and making payments on the mountain. It has every type of business. It has a ticketing station. Square doesn't build ticketing solutions, but we power every other one of those things. So what we envision is a world where a merchant that's a ski resort can use Square to power their entire ski resort. Single API. They can use our solution for retail, our solution for food and beverage, our solution for services, mountain payments. But they're going to build their own ticketing solution. But they're going to build it using our same commerce platform, and they're all going to talk to each other. So the ticketing system talks to the food and beverage system, which talks to the hospitality system. They're all using the same payments solution. They're all interchangeable. All the customer data flows between all of them, and their costs of maintaining this are 100th of what they used to cost. So, but we're not going to build a ticketing system. So if you want to build a ticketing system, I know at least 7 ski resorts that would buy it.
So here's the larger question to sort of bridge the conversation between Drupal and Square, because where I'm really seeing the differentiation right now is that you guys have these physical devices, physical POS devices that are hooked by API, but essentially that's the shtick. You've got a physical device that you can stick somewhere. Well, do you have any examples of and I guess what I've been sitting here trying to think of is where's the bridge between the Drupal site and the physical POS site? Where is the e-commerce guy who's going to use the hybrid solution of that, in a new type of sale?
Yeah.
Not just I'm running a store, I got a retail spot that's a very standardized sort of today's solution, but I don't know, I guess this conversation has really made me think about the conversation that's going on today, which is sort of the fight of retail on what they're going to do about the envisioning tide of online sales cannibalizing retail, right? And so this sort of bridges that retail and online, but I guess I'm just see if you have some clarity on
Sure. So I would say the most obvious is, okay, let's connect Drupal to physical card payments, but that's like a Band-Aid to the solution of retail, right? Sure, we can do that. It's actually kind of cool because you can have your little Drupal site, you can build a cart, you can take physical payments. It's pretty cool. It's Band-Aid. I think in reality, where that question or the answer to that question is going is in a future world where more and more large, sophisticated merchants are using Square to power the rest of their business, the power of the platform isn't in payments per se. It's just in the data being unified between those channels. So if they're using Drupal for e-com, it's their ability to continue to use Drupal for e-com, but build really unique in-person experiences around the data that's being generated in Drupal, or the data that they're generating in these unique experiences to get back into Drupal. And the experience, I imagine that being like this. Why do you go to your favorite store? Why do you shop at your favorite store? Is it because they just sell the thing you like, or is it like you have like when I go there, they know my name, they know what I want, they know my preferences, they know me, they know everything about me, and they make me feel good about myself. Imagine you're a local bar. Maybe you guys go to bars. You go to your local bar, what's it like? Ben, great to see you again. Let me get you and it's my favorite drink every time. But how are they going to do that when the employee working there has never met me? Or the employee working there only met me that one time, but the owners know me, right? In a retail environment, that happens. There's high turnover employees. But what if you're able to take the data that exists in Drupal and online and the existing relationship you have with the customer and seamlessly flow it down to all the other touch points you have in your business, right? So the point of sale. It's not the payment that matters, actually. It's the information about the customer. It's the information about their purchase history. Some information about how they're going to ultimately buy more things. What about recommendations that is powered by Drupal, right? A recommendation engine that actually exists online. They build a cart online, but that cart transfers offline, right? It's just the unification of channels where it's no longer, I bought something online, I bought something offline. It's like, I started my journey online, I'm finishing it offline. Or I started my journey offline, and I want those preferences to roll to my online journey as well.
So do you think that Square is really the only provider right now that can provide that seamless online-offline experience? That, I mean, in the way that you have it right now, where you have the hardware and software.
There are very few, like 1 to 3 providers that can do what we do, us being one of them. I think, so everything we can do, enterprise businesses have been doing for 20 years. And they joke all the time, like, we can do all this. Like, absolutely, you can do all this. And you're paying a staff of 14 people to do it. And you have a budget of $14 million to do it. And you're putting together bespoke systems and you're losing data along the way. What we do is we do the exact same thing out of the box, right? So it's not magic. It's just magic that it works the way it does, right? It's been done before. I think that the future of where it fits in with e-commerce is just straight up unifying the channels.
To be a devil's advocate, though, you're collecting information from every business and all of their competitors, and you keep it all, and you can give it off, right? Bespoke systems, you know, for Macy's, that's theirs. It doesn't go to Nordstrom's.
Yeah, I mean, but, so data ownership from Square. Your data is your data. It's your data owned, and your data is never shared with anyone else in the network. Any data you collect is your data. Any data that you build about your customers is your data. It's never being shared, right? It's 100% your data. Now, you brought up a point. So Square is a full double-sided network. We have the ability to do data attribution across customers in ways that historically very few companies have been able to do. So we can see a customer that goes to Nordstrom's and a customer that goes to somewhere else, right? We can absolutely do that. We don't provide the data to anyone to make any kind of competitive, you know, provide a competitive advantage. But what we do is we allow certain things that are not possible with other solutions. And this might tie into how things like a Drupal and how could experience, right? It's not Drupal specific, but again, I think it's related to the theme of an online world and an offline world. They're going to converge. In the next 5 years, every major payment provider, e-commerce provider, commerce solution is all going to converge to online, offline. Like retail is going that way. And I think there's just one solution for it. But what's unique about Square with our merchant network is, have you ever gotten a Square digital receipt before? Have you ever gone to Square Merchant and you swipe your credit card and just send you the digital receipt out? We're able to actually contact and link together your purchases across Square Merchants, right? Anonymously. So we're not providing that data to merchants in any way, but we can see that data. So we can actually build profiles around your customer behavior and allow merchants to do like lookalike audiences for marketing purposes. We can do data attribution around first time or recurring purchases without any interaction on your side, right? So we can do things like you come in and you make a purchase and you walk out, you bought a cup of coffee. And 3 weeks later you come in and you make a purchase and you walk out and you bought another cup of coffee. A traditional solution for a merchant, that's 2 transactions that occurred over the course of 2 weeks. With Square, without you doing anything different from what you're doing today, we we can actually tell you, actually, 2 transactions over the course of 2 weeks, the average transaction was 1 item per, and it was from the same customer, right? Without them providing any additional information about themselves. We're able to do that by being a unified payments platform, tying all that data together in ways that a traditional system can't do. So we can actually give you more insights into your own buyers around new customers, repeat customers, lifetime value of customers in ways that.
Do you offer collaborative filtering? So the customer bought coffee here and then bought a book over there, and
so we don't do it across merchants, but we're talking merchants with many locations, right? So take that a step further. You're a 3-location merchant, a coffee shop, right? And you're in the same city. It's nearly impossible today for a standard coffee shop merchant to know that a single buyer actually made multiple purchases across their different locations. Nearly impossible, because these are not self-identifying customers. These are customers who go in anonymously, buy something, and walk out. The thing that's common between them is that the same person, usually using the same set of credit cards. Our system can automatically link them and provide you anonymous data that says this customer is actually a repeat customer. They actually go to all your locations, and on average, they buy 1.5 cups of coffee. And you can see that data both through our dashboards as well as through the API that we're exposing. You can go a step further. Is later on, you can identify who that customer is. You can have them opt into a program from you and say, hey, we'll actually offer you a loyalty program. Buy 4, get 1 free. They self-opt in. We actually know now the entire historical purchase of that customer at all your business locations. You can take that data, you can filter it off into Drupal, right? I don't know, like, in like retail it makes more sense, coffee shops less, but in retail you have anonymous buyers constantly buying from you in a brick and mortar location, but then they will ultimately register online. Now imagine if that customer who's anonymously buying from you in brick and mortar all the time, you don't know who they are, anonymous John Doe. They go online to your website and they buy again with the credit card. Guess what? You just linked the credit card to a known profile to the unknown customer record.
The race to personalization.
Exactly. I see that personalization.
There's a lot of companies out there that are racing to personalization that will do the same thing.
Yep.
But Square is in there with a unique set of data.
And you did it with 0 lines of code. It's automatic, right? Because you're using the same payments API that will automatically tie this together.
Has Square always marketed itself as this type of a solution, or has it evolved this type of solution? It's funny that there are so many things. I mean, I've known of Square forever, but actually they seem to have been marketed more as like a payment gateway platform as opposed to a API-driven system. Is that recent, or is that the way the company sort of started out?
We definitely did not start out that way. Square started as Apple, very Apple-esque. It was a closed ecosystem. We'll own the hardware, the software, the UI, the whole user experience. We'll own it all, and it'll be correct. We've pivoted, right? We've seen through the innovation that if we want to enable more merchants and larger merchants and more sophisticated merchants to actually work with us, we need to embrace a platform strategy. So we've grown into it. We've grown into this belief that we will never be the best at everything. We will try, and we will provide you solutions that we think are the best, but if we can't compete with ourselves, we won't be the best, right? We need to compete with the best. Some people are just never going to move away from QuickBooks. Some people are just never going to move away from certain software they're using. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't enable them to take advantage of the rest of our ecosystem.
Does it work in India this time, or?
It does not. So we currently only work in those 5 countries, so US, Canada, Australia, Japan, UK.
Any plans for future?
So Square's entire purpose as a company, it's literally on our main walkway in our conference room is economic empowerment. So we truly believe in every day, the theme of what we're working on is enabling everyone from every demographic, every country, to build a business and become self-sufficient and be empowered. And the only way I can imagine doing that is to enable our solution globally. We unfortunately we don't have roadmaps for countries that we are going to go into, but we have every aspiration to follow that purpose and enable these types of solutions in every market that will allow it.
So in my previous venture, one of the biggest problems I had was getting all of our systems to speak with each other from the beginning to the end of the transaction. So I see that you've set POs and inventory control.
Yes.
Do you envision kind of the future of Square being that, all of my systems are, you go back to Square kind of central hub and spoke and pull data from Square, or does that not matter?
So we envision for small businesses,
Okay,
they will use Square 100%, and they'll, like 5% of what they do might be outside of Square.
okay.
As you move up the spectrum for really sophisticated businesses, our philosophy is we want to design every system that can be used that way
Okay.
to be used where an external system is a system of record.
Mhm.
Aside from payments, right? We're going to do the payments, but in terms of inventory, catalog, customers, so CRM type stuff, employee management, right? Another system can be used as a system of record, and it should tie in nicely to our platform. But the unifying piece, the piece that we are not going to work with, is a payment piece. We're going to connect payments across all the other systems, but the other systems can absolutely own major pieces of the business operation.
Right.
And today we're doing that with catalog, pricing, and inventory. We still need to become more sophisticated on the customer side to enable that in our world. And we're getting there in terms of like fulfillment side of things as well, order management.
Can you tell about the recurring payments? So does the system support recurring payments, and how does it handle upgrading and downgrading plans?
Recurring payments.
Yeah.
Cool. Today, okay, so we have a solution called Square Invoices. It's a straight invoicing tool, similar to like maybe like a FreshBooks or Invoice, ASAP, it's actually one of our partners. It's a full invoicing tool built into that dashboard. It's free for Square merchants. You can obviously rerun the payment on it. As part of that tool, we've built a full recurring billing suite. So you can create an invoice and set it up for, bill X amount of times. It's a standard billing solution, but it's entirely driven through an interface. What we do not have today is we do not have APIs for consumer-facing subscription billing. The way in which we do this today is we partner with third parties, with other platforms that do subscription billing, and they use our card on file solution. So they use our e-commerce API or point of sale API to actually get the card saved in Square. They save that token in their systems, and then their system is totally the system of record for managing, creating, and charging against those cards. Unlike Stripe, so Stripe, and I think it's actually one of their largest growth channels, is offering a full subscription API. I see an obvious world where Square also offers a full first-party subscription API, but we do not currently do it.
It's a huge problem with recurring payments.
Yeah.
And Stripe solved it recently.
Yes.
Well, a few years ago, and it's really great. And I use it on several projects. And the most painful part is downgrading and upgrading plans and handling prorations, the prorated portion of it, and canceling subscription and refunding and keeping balances.
Yep.
And that was really hard until I discovered Stripe.
Yep. As a personal opinion, I think a lot of their growth probably came from their ability to integrate subscription payments. And I think it's great. I've used it personally myself.
I mean, if you guys implement that, obviously, it will help you.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, that's more of an online requirement than an offline requirement, because like when you go to a store, you generally don't buy a subscription to something.
Nope.
When you're online, you
In
do.
the old retail world, yeah. I think what we're seeing is more and more retailers. So we work with a company, but there's many companies like this, right? I don't even know, but like you buy a subscription online and you get things delivered to your house, right?
Right.
More and more retailers are actually starting to create those same types of subscriptions from brick and mortar. You actually build a cart, and when you go to check out, they'll actually subscribe you to a solution, and then they'll send you those items every month. Very unique. And it's great revenue for them, right?
It's a weird shopping experience.
Really weird, yeah. But imagine if those were things you wanted every month or two.
You're gonna get the same cart in 30 days that you just walked out with delivered to your house.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, there's more and more of these, again, it's a slow transition to the online and offline worlds coming together. And I think over the next 5 years, you're gonna see more and more of that theme, right? More and more of this, things I used to only do online, I'm now doing in a brick and mortar store. Things I only used to do in brick and mortar, I'm now doing a bit online. And hopefully Square is involved in a lot of those in that innovative space.
Amazon bookstores.
Yeah, Amazon's going. Oh, you know what's really
interesting. You have companies like traditional brick and mortar, obviously they went to e-com, but you have e-com, traditional e-com providers, now going to brick and mortar. Like cash for mattress, e-com only, cut out the middleman. They're opening brick and mortar, right? Like, they've announced in like Wall Street.
Well, because they can't solve the problem of like,
How do you
shopping
do
shopping online is fun, but I hate waiting.
Yep.
So.
Warby Parker.
I did an interesting one called Batteries Plus. I don't know if you hear of these guys.
Yeah.
All they do is sell batteries. I needed a battery, specific type of battery. So I ordered it online, and they have lots of tiny little shops that you can't go and just buy. You have to order it online and go pick it up.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of an interesting model, it really was.
Yeah. Bonobos, Warby Parker, right? These are e-com only providers with brick and mortar stores.
All right.
You can imagine the difficulties they have starting now, building a brick and mortar presence, much like we saw with that quote from one of our merchants. When you started e-com is supposed to be the new frontier, right? That's the new technology stack. How do you go into the old world when you only started with the modern stuff, right? We're seeing a lot of success there as well.
Do you guys have any requirements to get into the marketplace?
To get in, like the app marketplace on there? So it's a highly curated marketplace right now. Everyone is pretty much handpicked. We've only started to put a few providers in there who reached out to us and, we saw interest in. I think it's just broad applicability. If you have a solution that can work with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of square merchants, we're interested in seeing it. And we just create a formal agreement of some kind, to make sure that it's the highest quality. You actually have SLAs in place to provide customer service, right? What we're not looking to do, at least in the near term, is just put apps upon apps on apps available to our merchants that don't provide true value to them. We want to make sure that whatever's there is highly curated, it's high quality, and actually solves problems for our merchants.
What about the third-party marketplaces? Is there such a thing where you guys shut them down?
We don't. So you as a developer can build any Square integration you want that will connect to, using OAuth, right? Connect to a Square account on behalf of that Square account, provide them value-added services using our API. The only limitation today is that you have a 500 merchant limit before we reach out to you and want to learn more about what you're doing. But you're more than welcome to build and distribute an app and monetize it. We want to encourage you to monetize your app any way possible.
That was a great presentation, really quality.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, people online.
The time you presented, Ben, you signed